Week 5 of American History Hybrid Part 2 Notes. Looking at LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, who served 2 terms as president. After the assassination of JFK, LBJ will inherit the office in 1963. He will then start his second term in 1965. After the notes today, you should be able to answer the following. Explain how President Johnson's war on poverty affected American communities. Clearly identify the problems that Great Society tried to address and the programs that were implemented, and describe why the support of the Great Society waned in the late 1960s. Again, LBJ became president with the assassination of JFK. Prior to his office, he served 6 terms as a U.S. Senator. 6 terms as a U.S. House Representative, 2 terms as a senator, and a very good politician. In other words, a diplomat. When LBJ takes office, he inherits Kennedy's civil rights plans and economic plans. As the old saying goes, Kennedy inspired while LBJ delivered. So he delivered all the programs that Kennedy really wanted to deliver in his first part of the term, but remember, Kennedy's presidency was consumed with the spread of communism, and domestic policies took the back burner. So LBJ, again, will increase what is known as developing the Great Society. He's more liberal, thus going to be passing many acts that will help minority ethnic groups as well as other genders. JFK, again, focused international, LBJ domestic. And Congress supports because of his history with both the House of Senate and House of Representatives. LBJ sworn in on a plane. LBJ also, during his running for his second term, pitted attack ad against his rival, showing that his rival had the threat of incurring a nuclear war. Wins over Goldwater in electoral votes by a landslide in 1964, earning his second term as president. Again, LBJ defines a great society, more concerned with the quality of the goals versus the quality of the goods, so moving away from consumerism and helping out socially. Race riots also define a portion of his term as president, and the end is unfortunately plagues LBJ with the War of Vietnam. The Great Society, one, is he wants to target poverty. How does he do this? He creates VISTA, Head Start, Job Corps. Again, Head Start is probably the notable program which offers preschool to those that are unfortunate, thus beginning the school process much earlier in life. He also creates the Elementary and Secondary School Acts of 65. Again, these programs target an increase of education for the less fortunate. He creates the ominous Housing Act, again, subsidized housing, and also HUD, which again looks at developing urban areas as well as increasing home ownership against those that are deemed as poverty or less affluent. He also creates 2 bills that we even see today, Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare, which offers medical assistance over anyone of the age of 65, and Medicaid offering assistance to anybody that's been hurt on the job or has been deemed unable to work. He'll pass civil rights legislation. During this term, we'll talk about the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and then the Civil Rights Act of 1967. Race riots break out in major cities across the United States. 100 plus riots in the next 2 years. Detroit, where we see mass casualties, and our Kerner Commission will investigate. Money shifts for war on poverty. More on poverty. Money shifts to the war in Vietnam. MLK assassination takes place in Memphis, and race riots emerge all throughout. Watts, California riots, and then again, LBJ will form the Warren, the Kerner Commission with representatives here, most notably Martin Luther King Jr. A Warren Court decision, which was led by Earl Warren. He investigated race riots, and he found that it was due to white racism as to why riots were happening all over major cities. And the Warren Court decision also resulted in expanding individual liberties, specifically extending the Voting Rights Act, which is extending the voting rights, which is passed through Gideon versus Wainwright, which again provides public assistance to those that can't afford it. And we also see, that was the rights for the accused, and also for the rights of the accused, the Miranda versus Arizona, which is you have the right to remain silent and not jeopardize or self-determine your guiltiness. As for backtracking here and looking at expanding Voting Rights Act, he'll pass that in the Reynolds versus Sims, which affirms that one person, one vote for all Americans. Again, focus will shift from the domestic programs to Vietnam towards the end of his second term. The Gulf of Tonkin resolution will take place, and that will enter the U.S. into the Vietnam War in 1968. Later, we found that it was a fabricated story of a bombing that happened in the Gulf of Tonkin, which, upon further historical evidence, did not happen. The war escalates, and again, LBJ will send troops over. LBJ retires after the administration was focused on Vietnam. He would not be reelected, and there was a decrease of bombing. All right, please read the following questions, and again, these align with the question stated at the beginning of the slides for your learning outcomes. And again, all this information can be utilized in your Week 5 activity.